echoing performing space that we're glad to be able to get into this spring. Wow, what a year. I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be able to have a real life concert with real life people and real life kids and real life everything. It's just amazing. So thank you for those who came to the March Wood concert. Unlike that concert, this is all acoustic, and it is going to have no backing track, and that was an amazing experience, and this is another amazing experience just in a different way. Just the kids, nothing else, and I could not be happier that you came. I so appreciate it. We have 3 classes featured tonight. Of course, we have Strings 1, and the first piece we have on the program, as you see, is Backcountry Ramble. They call it a lot of different things. What are some of the other names? Backwater Cafeteria, what else? Backwash Cafeteria, anyway, we have fun. So enjoy Backcountry Ramble. The next piece, Prelude and Fugue, a fugue, if you don't know, is like a complicated round, like row, row, row your boat, where someone has the melody and then somebody else comes in with the same melody and it turns into something beautiful and complicated. And these kids are great with beautiful and complicated. The Prelude is a very emotional piece, and they all had different ideas what that was about. These are very creative kids. Some of it was about murder and mystery, and I said, it can't be about murder. But some of it was love in the forest and murder in the prairie. It was all sorts of things. But you put your own story to the music you hear. violist just says, it just sounds like elevator music to me. I don't know what elevators Mary Margaret's riding in, but when you listen to it, I don't know what she's visiting, but this is going to give you a clue. Mambo Mobley.
I think job.
So for our first piece, this is Brandenburg Concerto number 3. So Bach wrote this because Bach wrote this sort of to get a job. He wrote the 12 Brandenburg Concertos, which consists of 3 movements each. So he wrote these 36 movements and walked himself to visit Lord Brandenburg, or Count Brandenburg, I can't remember, and popped it on his desk and said, this is kind of the kind of work I do. Oh, we're all tuning in, that's fine. So this is the kind of work I do. Will you hire me? The guy did not even have an orchestra good enough to play it. And so he put it in his drawer. Bach didn't take the job because he was smart, and so Bach walked home, and Lord Brandenburg put it in that drawer, and of course there was no Kinko's, so that was the only copy, and it stayed there for 100 years until Felix Mendelssohn found it and pulled it out, and luckily nobody had wrapped fish in it and sold it, right? Imagine how much music we've lost over the years, sadly, to that kind of way, but this was salvaged, can you believe it? And so we're going to be playing first movement of Brandenburg Concerto number 3 today. Amongst yourselves. So that is an absolute classic for string players. So, and another one is the next one they're playing, Procession of the Nobles. We scoot right to Russia from Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov, one of the great five Russian composers of the time. They were kind of a cluster of guys, and they were kind of told to write traditionally Russian-sounding music. And so that's what he did in this case. So Procession of the Nobles, it's not originally written for strings, but this is our rendition. So enjoy Procession of the Nobles. picture of strings one, and it says, well, it shows a picture of a symphony orchestra, say New York Philharmonic, whatever you like. It says, if you want this, and it shows a picture of strings one, then you need this. So if you want the culture in your country, in your world to continue and to flourish, you have to nurture it like a baby flower, like a baby bird. You gotta support those programs that they don't happen overnight. They happen year after year and concert after concert and experience after experience. And that's what's happening here, so I appreciate that. Our next piece is this Isaac Albeniz with this gorgeous piece called Cordova, originally for piano. He was an incredible pianist. There are a lot of arrangements for classical guitar. And it is Cordova, Spain. It's supposed to just evoke his idea of Cordova, Spain, and there are two spots in it. It starts off as if he's hearing the church bells way in the distance from a distant village. Just a really lovely piece. I hope you enjoy it. about it. I split the violin solo amongst our 5 first violins. So if you hear one of the first violins playing something different, that is the solo. So look for that. In the concert, they're listed in the program in the order in which you'll hear the soloist play. fortunately for them. The first singer I want to talk about is Carrie Simmons, who is not in this group. Raise your hand, Carrie. Carrie back there. Carrie. So she did not just, anyway, but I'll tell you. Carrie started playing the bass in 7th grade. So she started 6 years ago, played 5 years for Webb, and so this year she decided she wanted to start learning to play the viola. So she switched from honors orchestra and started playing the viola in strings 1. She'll be attending Belmont University with a music and academic scholarship, majoring in music education, with a split emphasis in classical and commercial bass. So one of her favorite things she's done all these years is to start a new instrument, the viola, this year. Let me tell you, bass is quite a bit different from viola, and she's done an amazing job. Carrie wants to be remembered as the one who could play the bass, as well as the one who knew most of the answers. I'll say, well, this year she certainly did know most of the answers, as she's using her senior year to learn a completely new instrument, the viola, after playing the bass for 6 years. She's also learning to play the piano, and so she's taking full advantage of the opportunities here at Webb before applying herself to her music studies at Belmont. I am certain that she'll take that university by storm and have a wonderfully successful career as a professional musician. Bravo, Carrie. Next we're going to talk about Nikki Dye. Raise your hand, Nikki Dye. Nikki started playing violin 4 years ago at Webb in the 9th grade. He's very likely going to attend the University of Southern California in Los Angeles. He might major in social science and business. Nikki says, I loved all my strings classes from strings 1 to honors orchestra. My favorite performance memories are the Christmas concerts and the performance with Mark Wood. Nikki wants to be remembered as the most dramatic violin player. I also suggested to Nikki that perhaps he could be the one with the cutest dimples. You can't see them there. Best hair, or most fashionable, because he's really all those things too. Nikki has also been involved in these activities at Webb, big brother of the Webb Chinese community, member of the National Honor Society, president of the Drug Awareness Club, and varsity tennis player. So bravo, Nikki. Nikki is, you want to clap for that? Nikki is what I call a mamma. He is very polite and says yes ma'am and no ma'am a lot. That's what I call a mamma. He's incredibly polite and always cheerful. Nikki was a distance learner until just, how many weeks ago? 4 to 6 weeks? 2 months ago. So the kids send me weekly videos of themselves playing for me to grade as part of their tests each week. Up until he arrived, all of Nikki's videos had been flipped, so it looked like he was playing left-handed. And so when I didn't make a big deal of it, you know, he's a distance learner, he's got enough on his plate. When he came in person, I thought it would be easy to help him fix that. Of course, Nikki apologized. Yes, ma'am, I'm sorry, that they'd been backwards and said he'd fix it right away. Next week, the same thing. Week after that, same thing. And the following week, it was not only flipped, but sideways. Of course, I couldn't help him fix the problem. But after talking with the other students, as of last week, I got my first right-handed video of Nikki playing the violin just before graduation. Way to go, Nikki! I just know it. Best of luck to you. I will miss you very, very much. My first cellist here, Dawson Hasty. Dawson has been playing the cello at Webb for 6 years, starting in the 7th grade. He'll be attending either Motlow or the University of Alabama in Huntsville. He hopes to major in either aerospace engineering or mechanical engineering. His favorite memory is when Mrs. Mullen's baton accidentally flew out of her hand. He'd like to be remembered as a dedicated musician. I would agree with that. Dawson has always been a very sweet young man who has never had a mean thing to say about anyone in my presence. I assume it's out of my presence as well. I've always been proud of his ability to balance his sports activity and still keep music a strong priority in his life. Dawson traveled with me to Italy a few years ago on a Webb spring break trip, and I'll never forget taking pictures of him, with him in front of the Leaning Tower of Pisa. A very, very powerful memory for me. I really hope he continues to play his instrument beyond high school, as he is an absolutely beautiful cello player. Is not here today. There are some of our students who are literally still distance learners and are not here. There are two of them tonight. One of them is Austin Zhu. Austin started playing the violin just in 10th grade, just 2 years ago. He may be attending the University of California, Irvine, where he hopes to major in either psychology or economics. One of Austin's favorite memories is in Strings 1. He says, when we first used the bow to play, you told us we were the first class to play so soon with the bow. I knew that was a white lie, and I appreciated it. Sarcasm. He also says, I want to be remembered as having composed the song Top of the World with the knowledge you taught me. So I think that song represents me. Austin loves all kinds of music, and last year composed several songs on the computer, you know, with those programs, which he'd bring to me for my input. He's always bursting with ideas, and in the past has given several chapel performances of his pieces and singing, which we will never forget for their standing ovations. 2 years ago, we had an exchange student from Guatemala in Strings 1 that Austin befriended immediately in class, and we had many, many great laughs in there. And so even though he was from a foreign country, he felt like he was the home boy and felt someone else felt like they were, it was wonderful. I feel that Austin has really taken advantage of his time here at Webb and pursued many outside activities. He's a kind and creative young man with a fabulous future ahead of him, and I wish him all the best. Abby Gallagher, principal viola tonight. Abby started the viola in the 7th grade. It was a big 7th grade class that year, or 6 years ago. She'll be attending Young Harris College in North Georgia on a lacrosse scholarship, hoping to major in biology with a focus on physical therapy. One of her best string class memories is when I lectured the class about being nice after seeing her make a face in class that I perceived to be critical of another student. She also still fondly remembers how Lily King saw a bee fly into my coffee cup during class, and she didn't tell me even though I went to take a drink. That was a big day. She also adds, I love how every concert, when we rehearse, you are frantic, and it feels like we aren't going to be good enough in time for the concert, and somehow we manage it every single time, and when we finish, you always turn back towards us and tell us that we played amazingly and that it was the best we've ever done. For Abby's string legacy, she wants to be remembered as being a big part in the strongest viola section ever. I will absolutely grant that to you, Abby. Stand up for the section. Abby is an incredible example of how a student at Webb can excel at academics, in the arts, and in athletics. Abby has won the Honors Orchestra Book Award in the past and is going to college on a lacrosse scholarship, despite that one misunderstood look she probably never even gave in middle school. She is kind, compassionate, and an overall incredible young lady. I am so glad to have been part of her life these past years. Mary started playing violin at Webb in the 6th grade, so she's been in the program for 7 years. Next year, she'll be attending Tennessee Tech in Cookeville with a music scholarship. One of Mary's favorite memories is that time in 6th grade when one of the 7th grade girls said you played a really pretty song on the first day of class, and it ended up you were just tuning your strings. I don't tell them that. I she would like her string legacy to be that she's perfect. You're getting to know Mary. Yeah, Mary is a complex young lady. She will go long periods saying nothing at all and then come up with a very insightful idea or opinion completely out of the blue. I have learned not to underestimate her or dismiss her ideas. Last summer when she said she wanted to raise ducklings, I laughed and forgot about it. Lo and behold, on her birthday, she got 2 ducklings, and the 3 of them, she and the 2 ducklings, spent a good amount of time in my backyard during the pandemic, socially distanced, of course. She'd bring over a huge roll of paper towels, too. I am so proud that Mary will be continuing her music studies beyond Webb, and can't wait for her to get better than me. I will miss you so much. That's all. She'll be attending the University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, and will be in the Brock Scholars Honors College, majoring in pre-professional biology. Emma's first favorite strings memory: when you swallowed the bee in your coffee cup. Okay, I hope you can start to understand that these kids' memories are like a game of telephone. And these incidents get blown out of proportion, and they were there. So, grain of salt. Emma's second, I did not swallow. Emma's second memory, quote, when you stared into my eyes and said they were like the Green Lanterns. Okay, I actually didn't say that. They really are, too. Emma has always been one of the sweetest people in my class, always working hard, always asking for help, always a helpful stand partner, always wanting to improve. I don't ever remember an unkind word or look from her in all the years I taught her. That was not a jab at Addie. I don't even think she gave that dirty look in hindsight. Emma will be a fabulous biologist. She's a problem solver, highly intelligent, and driven, as most biologists are. My husband's a biologist. So, I know. Emma, I will really miss your sweet smile and loving attitude. Please come visit me. Who graduated last year, would sword fight in the back of a class when I wasn't, but sometimes was, looking. I just wonder if they'd have done that if they were using their own cellos and not the Webb cellos. For Molly Kate's string legacy, she wants to be remembered as having the most elegant way of getting Mrs. Mullen distracted and off topic during class. Molly Kate Creech is in fact elegant at many things she does, including distracting me in class. She's organized, motivated, volunteer-oriented, and likes to take care of others, so it is no surprise to me that she's going into nursing, as she's very well suited to that profession. Behind that beautiful smile, however, is a dark side that I discovered when planning our Webb spring break trip to Italy several years ago. I mentioned to her that I'd read that in Florence, there was a museum completely dedicated to famous serial killers. Molly Kate's head popped up like a prairie dog, and I swear I have never seen her more excited about anything I've ever said. I was completely blown away. Unfortunately, the museum had closed and we didn't get to visit it, but had it been there, right? So Molly Kate is, how you say, well-rounded. Interest, campus will not be the same without you, Molly Kate. I will miss you so very much. She is also another of our Chinese students who is distance learning and is not here tonight. Nancy started playing the violin at Webb in the 9th grade, so for 4 years, although she had some experience before she came. She'll be attending New York University this fall. She hasn't yet decided on her major, but she hopes she can minor in something related to classical music. Some of Nancy's favorite string memories are: every time Mrs. Mullen caught me transcribing notes into numbers and erased all of them so I could learn better. Number 2, when Jessica Lee, her stamp partner at the time, was doing pizzicato, she couldn't help putting her middle finger up towards the audience. And I promise you, Jessica Lee did not mean to do that. It was accidental. For Nancy's string legacy, she'd like to be remembered as the one most addicted to listening to Mahler's Symphony No. 6. Don't think there's a lot of competition for that legacy. So she gets it. She also wants me to say that I love violin. I wish I could be admitted to the orchestra at NYU. I have missed Nancy so much this year, as she's now a distance learner. She and I spent a lot of time together last year talking about music. She'd show me videos of her favorite soloists from around the world. We had a memorable evening together on her birthday last year in Nashville, watching Star Wars, the movie, while the Nashville Symphony performed the soundtrack live on stage. I think Nick Allison was at that concert, weren't you, Nick? Yes, he was. That day was one of my last big outings in 2020, as I recall, so I'm glad I got to spend it with such a special young lady before we all scattered to the winds. Terrible. Nancy truly uses classical music to connect herself with the world and to feel more deeply. It is my true hope that we can stay connected to each other long after she graduates from Webb. Nancy, I'm waving to Nancy. All right, come back. Third cellist, which I just want to cry about already because 3 of the cellists up here are seniors. Ruth Smith. Ruth Smith is Ruth Smith. Ruth Smith started playing the cello in Webb in 7th grade. Can you imagine what that class was like, right? So for 6 years, she will be attending Freed-Hardeman University in Henderson, Tennessee in the fall, where she'll be majoring in biology. Ruth has several favorite memories. But before I tell you them, you need to know that Ruth plays a cello that has been strung for a left-hander, which is incredibly unusual and almost never done. But when she came to see me in the 7th grade about playing the cello, she showed me that she had an issue with her right hand, a physical issue, that keeps it from bending. When I put the bow in her left hand, she said, "That'll work." Okay, I'll take this to the music shop and get it strung left-handed then. She's like, "There you go. Get you going." She did not hesitate. Ruth's first memory, one of my favorite memories, was my first concert. You asked for older players to help strings one tune their instruments. A high school cellist named Austin offered to tune my cello, but didn't know that it was strung backwards. So while trying to tune my G string, it broke. And since there was not enough time to put a new string on it, I had to fake play the entire concert. Another favorite memory is when Donovan, cellist who graduated last year, and I would sway back and forth while playing during Tri-M Club. Another favorite memory is when we did the mannequin challenge. Not a throwback, and you guys might remember that, in intermediate strings. I still have the video, and it was so much fun. You remember the mannequin challenge? Had to strike a pose, and then you'd video them. We had a lot of fun. Ruth's last favorite memory is when we took class photos in strings one when we were all in 7th grade, and we went outside and did crazy poses. That's tomorrow, actually. Tomorrow's Crazy Pose Day. Ruth's string legacy is that she is the first and last left-handed Webb cellist. She would like me to add that Ruth Smith is my favorite 18-year-old cellist named Ruth. As you can already tell from my story about Ruth choosing an instrument, she's a very determined young lady. You can see from her memories that she uses music to connect with people. And how could I not be thrilled that I've been a small part of that? Ruth brings me joy just by walking in the room, coming to my Murfreesboro Symphony concerts, and laughing with me. Orchestra will not be the same without her next year. I will miss you so much, Ruth. Can all my seniors please stand? waking up late, showing up late to class. These kids hold a lot in, and they need to let it out. And that's one thing that having music in your life helps you do. Obviously, they don't just let music out. They're incredibly talented. I could not be more proud of them. This is Perpetuo. keep encouraging your kids to pass it. I appreciate you.